Da, 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 da. Merry Christmas and welcome to the first episode of the Foxhole War Report, the show where I, Shrimp Bucket, give you the juicy details of all the operations I've been a part of in the past while. And for this show's inaugural episode, I'm going to be covering Operation Holding Ground. Taking place on December 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Operation Holding Ground is a small-scale push to take down some towns within the southern hex of Shackled Chasm. Due to recent warden advances in the south, a push to defend the factory districts and the supply lines of those hexes was advised. The plan itself was simple: establish a forward operating base at Autumn's Pyre, move north to secure the bridge which connects Bell Tolls to Savages, create an artillery post and fire on the defenses of Savages before advancing onto that town with both infantry and armor in order to secure it for colonial forces. Sounds easy, right? Well, nothing's ever as simple as it is when you're imagining it in your head. To start off, a group of infantry marched with a construction vehicle to Autumn's Pyre and created the forward operating base, only dealing with some infantry skirmishes along the way. After being supplied, infantry and a half-track moved north to the Savages Bridge. However, Warden forward operating base and emplacement stopped them from securing it easily. After heavy close quarters combat with armored support, the Warden's forward bunker base was destroyed, forcing them back over the bridge into Savages, allowing colonial forces to create a second bunker base closer to the bridge and north of Autumn's Pyre. And with that, phase 1 of the operation was complete, allowing for artillery emplacements to be put north of Autumn's Pyre to fire on Savages and begin the full assault of the town. But this is where the operation's trouble began, namely the wind. You see, during phase 1 of the operation, no one took real note of what direction the wind was going at, and even if it was favorable in the moment, by the time the artillery was fully set up ready to fire on Savages, the wind had turned a firm southeast, going directly against where we were trying to shoot at. Of course, the wind isn't a death sentence on its own. The other main issue colonial forces were going up against was getting into the town itself. Due to the fact there was only one already destroyed bridge, heavily guarded by warden garrisons, there was very little opportunity to reach the town and actually advance into capturing it. So as a result, the colonial forces are stuck in a situation where they can't march into the town, and their best opportunity of causing damage on Savages is at a heavy disadvantage. This doesn't stop the colonials though. The artillery still fires on the outer garrison of Savages, and the infantry hold off any warden advances at the bridge. This continues until warden artillery arrives within Savages, firing on colonial emplacements, causing massive damage to both the 120 artillery guns and the bunker base the colonials were using as their forward operating base at this point. Due to the artillery fire, heavy colonial casualties were taken, up to 712 per hour. And due to that and the lack of progress within the last several hours of the operation, the colonial officers decided to change suit by abandoning the post at Autumn's Pyre and moving south of Gorgons Cove to continue the operation there. And after some time, the 120 artillery and the full force of the infantry were able to move to a bunker base close to Reflection. The situation there was a lot less grim. The bridge had already been secured by colonial troops, and there were plenty of trenches and earthworks to take advantage of before moving on to Gorgons Cove itself. And by using a pre-built bunker core and turning it into a bunker base, the infantry and artillery began assaulting the outermost layer of Gorgon Cove's defenses, destroying a warden bunker base and securing the region for a full-scale assault. Despite this initial success, they soon entered a continuous two-way cycle of a battle, wherein they'd march north and attack Gorgon's defenses along with artillery support, dealing some damage here and there, until warden infantry and armor would counterpush, sending the colonials back towards their bunker base and attacking their artillery guns, making the colonials additionally either need to fully repair or replace their 120s. This was the majority of the fighting at Gorgons Cove. Sure, one push might take out a half-track or destroy a machine gun emplacement, but it was continuously switching back and forth that easily. In fact, I even have a button here to prove the point. See, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. See, easy as the push of a button. This would flip-flop constantly. The fighting continued on for several more hours this way until a large warden counterpush destroyed both the colonial bunker base and any defenses surrounding it, pushing them back into Reflection across the bridge. And with that, the officers took the losses and said Operation Holding Ground is over. So at the end of all of this fighting, where does that leave us? And in terms of casualties, the colonials lost 3,058 soldiers, 2 tankettes, 3 half-tracks, and at least 6 Coronatus 120 artillery guns, while the wardens lost 2,377 infantry, 2 scout tanks, and 2 half-tracks. And that's it. So we have to sit here in reflection, pun intended, and think about how did this operation go so wrong? Obviously, the two main things are the bridge combat at Savages and the southeast facing wind really threw off any initial game plans that were set up. Because of the wardens having such an automatic advantage, they had easy home field defense bonuses, allowing them to push off any invasion further on. But I know the question you, the viewer, are asking right now is, why even tell me this story? Why even give us this report if this report is so blanket of nothing and just filled with failure? But I think that failure is something worth commemorating on itself, you know? How many Foxhole operations people go through daily that just don't do shit? Like, genuinely, how many do people go through where at the end of the operation, we sit here, we look at the loss rate, it's like, oh my god, we lost like 5,000 soldiers and we gained nothing. By the way, we're missing like 8 half-tracks from the stockpile. I think someone robbed it. And even among these failures, there's still plenty of fun to have. I frankly enjoyed myself for the most part during this operation, even despite its failure. So I think in that sense, it succeeded in a way. It's a game. It's not like the war is going to end up changing anything. And usually these assaults, in all honesty, just get overturned within the next week or so, unless it's like a lucky break for people. Enough of that philosophical reflection crap. Right now we're entering the War Report ranking room, where I rank each of the operations I've been through on 4 different categories, each on scales of 5. The 4 categories are: how successful was the operation, how fun was the operation, how good were the tactics used, like did we try unique plans to accomplish the goal, or just a big blob of infantry shooting and hoping we win, and of course, how are those losses? Did we lose a lot of people, or did we just lose nobody? And for how Operation Holding Ground goes, success was more of a 2 out of 5, how fun it was a 4 out of 5, its tactics a 3 out of 5, and its losses probably like a 2 out of 5. Overall giving us a score out of 11 out of 20, so just barely over 50%. Still failing, but hey, you can't win them all, I guess. And that was the inaugural episode of Foxhole War Reports. Thank you for watching. I know this was kind of short, but I imagine that's more so because nothing really happened this operation. Maybe future operations, if a lot of things happen, these videos can last longer. I do hope you enjoyed it as much as you did. I'm sure I'll make more content soon as long as I keep doing operations in my clan. If you want to support me, please like and subscribe. I really need that kind of stuff. It's like keeping the war effort alive. By subscribing, I get to keep coming back, and I'll make more reports, and you get to keep seeing how this fight's going down. Thank you for watching, and have a Merry Christmas, a New Year, and goodbye.